should I stay in military or get out? Should I maybe go into the reserves? What does that look like for my financial situation? These are the questions that I get from clients, friends all the time. And today I wanted to take you through a recent case study of a real client situation where I helped use some data to best answer this question. So this particular client came to me with a lot of personal things that were going on in his life. He's at 13 years, he's in the Air Force and thinking about getting out. And many people would say, oh, don't do that. Like, the pension is so valuable, but not a lot of people can put numbers to just how valuable that is and kind of give them not only the qualitative things that they need to be thinking about, but also quantitatively, like, here's how much we're saying goodbye to, here's what life looks like in retirement. Like, these are the kind of things where we need to take a hard look at the numbers to be able to give this particular person the best data and information to make the best decision for them and their family. So I want to take you through this situation, kind of how I was thinking about it, what I presented to the client, and ultimately kind of the decision that we came to. Okay, so this client is an Air Force major with 13 years of service, and I'll just run through the quick assumptions. Those of you watching along on Spotify or YouTube, you'll see this on the screen, but I'll narrate through this. So monthly take home is about $9,000 after TSP contributions, all that. Monthly lifestyle, we're going to assume, is about $9,000, living in a pretty high cost of living area. Current investments, about 37 years old, got about $100,000 in retirement accounts. We're going to assume that if this client was to get out, we're fairly confident we could project 80% VA disability potentially. That's certainly nothing we can count on 100%, but we definitely know that there's some things going on that they'd probably get a rating for. And then when we're talking about the reserves, we're going to assume, if they were to get out and do 7 years in the reserves and finish out, they'd finish out about 14.9 retirement years in the reserves. And their pension, if they were to stay till 20, is going to be about $5,500. The reserve pension at 60 years old would be about $4,100. So that's kind of the assumptions we're working with. And we're going to walk through 3 scenarios that I presented to this client. So scenario 1, get out, no reserves, right? If we just get out, we cut loose, we kind of assume based on, his experience and his connections and kind of the area that he's in, he'd get a $135,000 job, which would take home income would be about $9,500 from that. Spouse income take home would be about $1,000. And then that potential 80% disability would be about $2,365 take home. So all that added together, we kind of get this annual savings capability of about $47,000. If we just continue to put away $30,000 a year, given what he has now, that retirement value at 65 is going to be about a little over $3 million. And then that monthly retirement income potential is going to be about $13,900, right? So we can round up. So $14,000, that's kind of what that potential spending looks like in retirement. If we get out now, we get that nice $135,000 job. We don't increase our living expenses too much. We do get some VA disability. That certainly helps. This is that monthly retirement income, what that looks like. So definitely, I told the client, like, hey, we can do this. We can totally get out. We're going to be okay. We are not going to be under a bridge. We're not going to be eating cat food. But when you compare it to some of the other 2 scenarios about staying in, doing reserve time, or staying in and sticking it out to 20, it's certainly a different retirement. Our margins are going to be a little bit slimmer if we do get out now and say goodbye to that pension. So scenario 2, get out and do the reserves. So, we still get out, we still get that job, but we stick it out in the reserves for 7 years. This client, if they did 7 years of reserves, they'd be done at about 44, and then they'd have to wait until 60 to get that pension of about $4,100. So what this looks like here, getting out and getting into the reserves, that retirement income is boosted to about $18,000, right? Mostly because, assuming, let's just all else equal, we still put away $30,000 a year. We still end up with about $3 million at retirement. And our monthly retirement income is really going to be that $14,000 plus that $4,100. So we're going to have about a monthly retirement income around $18,000, at 65. So it's definitely better. There's much more wiggle room here. Our savings capability every year is actually $59,000 instead of $47,000, right? So we do have more wiggle room in terms of how much we're able to save and spend and make, and we have more discretionary income. But I think some of the qualitative aspects here for this client, if we are going to do the reserves, we do have to travel to wherever that is. We do Maybe we'll have a deployment. There are some things that we have to continue to do to continue to get this paycheck and continue to work towards that reserve retirement. So for this client, like if they think getting out is a really good idea, staying in the reserves could be very beneficial. Just because we're at that 13-year mark already, we only have to do 7 more years of part-time work to earn that pretty solid reserve retirement at 60. So scenario 3, stay in, just gut it out to 20. For this client, what that looks like, if we just assume, again, $30,000 of savings per year, retirement value at 65 is $3 million, then we tack on that pension as well at 44 now that they're getting, right? They're not having to wait until retirement all the way until 60 to get that reserve pension. We never really have to think about money again in this scenario. That's for sure. It's kind of what I told the client. Our monthly retirement income someday, just holding all else equal, is going to be $19,400. So this is obviously financially going to be the best for the client. There's some qualitative aspects for this client that I'm not sure, this scenario is doable. That, when we're having these discussions, like there's things going on in the personal lives that I think make getting out appealing and is why we're having this discussion. But from purely a financial perspective, this is probably the best outcome for the client. It's going to be very difficult to separate and replace that pension benefit. I mean, starting to get that pension at 44, you can just do quick math. If we get a pension at 44 plus some VA disability, maybe we're not even having to worry about money very much in just 7 years, let alone, the nest egg we could build up at 65 and have a pretty robust retirement income with a lot of optionality in our lives. So these are the 3 scenarios. Certainly, like for this client, we're able to put away 30 grand a year. If we're able to keep doing that, we can do anything. We can get out, we can do the reserves, we can stay in. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be okay. The margins are much, much greater when we do stay into 20 and we lock in that nice pension starting at 44. It really just gives us so much optionality. And ultimately, that's what the client decided to do. Maybe this will change. Maybe we'll be having this conversation again in a year. But we were able to use data here to kind of show them why staying in is going to be financially the best, but like what they'd be giving up and how, if we do stay in, we don't have to think about money again. If we don't stay in, the margins are a little slimmer, although we can certainly make it work. I also wanted to show you the analysis of kind of what that retirement income is actually worth in the military. So this is a spreadsheet for those that are watching that I put together a couple years ago that kind of shows what is that a civilian equivalent. If we're to walk away today, what do we need to make to completely replace that pension benefit? And so if I put this client's information in there, 37 years old, 13 years of service, officer, this calculator spits out an active civilian income of about $509,000. So that might sound like a crazy number, but when you think about it, we're seeing that in the previous calculations. That this client, if they stay in, they're going to have about $5-6 grand more of retirement income at a minimum. To replace that, right? We would need to go earn quite a bit more money in the civilian world. We need to invest that difference to kind of recreate that pension that we're walking away from. So just wanted to show this, the hourly compensation as well, which is really interesting. From an active component, this client would be making about $265 an hour. If they were to, go to the reserves, they're making about $436 an hour because they are earning that pension. When you think about it, they're earning a $4,100 pension for working part-time for 7 years. So when we take all that value, that $4,100 starting at 60, and we divide that by the hours they work just in this part-time for 7 years, it's definitely worth their while if this client was to get out, to just go stick it out in the reserves. So I just again wanted to show this a little bit to show you how valuable that pension can be and how we can put numbers to this. Now, again, this is all just numbers. The life stuff matters so much more. The qualitative aspects are many times the most important. There's people you could show this, that it's $1 million a year they need to go make, and they don't care. They're going to walk away. They're going to go start their business. They're going to go do their thing. I just want to arm clients with the best information to make the best decision for them. Ultimately, we need to talk through this. We need to talk about qualitative aspects, measures of health, happiness, measures of a good life. Like we need to think about all these things. So I hope that this was helpful to frame kind of what we need to be thinking about when we're looking through some of these decisions, I think people get to these decision points in their careers, 5, 8, 12 years. They kind of think about getting out and kind of how to frame what we might be able to make in the civilian world, how to think about, hey, maybe we're going to get some VA disability. What is that retirement income that we might need someday? How can we replace that, or if we need to replace that? And then putting that against the qualitative aspects of our life that relate to this decision. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want the exact financial planning framework that I use with clients? Go visit baskinfp.com, where you can grab a free download of the ultimate military and veteran financial checklist to give you the bluff on what you need to be doing to manage your finances. We'll be back next week with some more content to help you on your journey to financial freedom. See you then. This is a friendly reminder that the Bluff Finance Podcast is general and educational in nature and does not constitute tax, investment, legal, or financial advice with respect to any particular individual or taxpayer. Please consult with your own tax, legal, financial, and other advisors regarding your own unique situation.